Really?
I'll be dancing and Snakey will walk me like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, stop it.
There's a lot that we've learned that can work, not just in sport, but in life outside rugby as well.
No, he's a lunatic. How can you go into a World Cup final and not have a scrum half or a fly half reserve on the bench?
Welcome to the final episode of the official Rugby World Cup podcast, brought to you by Asahi Super Dry, the official beer at the Rugby World Cup. We are in the Opera House in Paris, where the World Rugby Awards have just been held, hosted by the brilliant Clémy Sala and our very own Hugo Monye, who's come upstairs to join us. Brilliant job, Hughes. You were absolutely superb tonight. How was it for you?
It's by far the best and most beautiful venue I've ever worked in.
It's incredible, isn't it?
In all my life.
You've been in control of the crowd all night. Could you just get them to shush down a little bit for the podcast for the next half an hour?
We sent down some Asahis.
It was a full room of rugby legends, and two of them have joined us for the final pod in Jean de Villiers and Conrad Smith. Boys, it's lovely to see you. Can you hear me?
Just, you gotta keep it loud, and you'll reach me.
Lovely.
So luckily, I don't have a voice left after last night.
I bet.
And now all the noise as well. So it's really going well.
To be fair, I don't think many of the World Cup winners from last night had much of a voice, a walk, or kind of any kind of reality as they walked on stage early today.
Yeah,
They've had a big night.
That's the issue with the 9 o'clock games, right? So you finish at 11, you eventually only get back to the hotel at 1:30, 1 or 2 beers. So I think it's just a lack of sleep. Nothing to do with any Asahi.
Jean,
right.
Are you trying to blame the kickoff for the hangover today?
Yes. Because it messes with our party time afterwards.
It's a good effort, isn't it? Hey, we appreciate your time. There's going to be a big party in Paris tonight. Let's start with this. Can you sum up that final in one sentence?
No.
Excellent. Conrad.
Thank you very much for asking. Yes.
Conrad?
Oh, what? No, I love that answer. No. Yeah, frantic, manic, but in some ways beautiful rugby. A whole lot you could talk about in that game. I think you'll talk about it for a long time, and that's the case with all great games, maybe.
A fitting final for what's been an incredible World Cup.
I think it was the most tense final we've had since 2003. 07 was a blowout, 11 was comfortable, 15 you knew.
11 comfortable.
Well, you were good.
11, 9,
Well,
8.
you were good.
Never in doubt that.
8-7.
That 1 point
I thought
victory.
you were going to say most tense since 11, and I'd agree with that.
Discount 11. 15, 19, they were washouts. And then last night, I mean, the beauty of the game, the one thing any sport needs is jeopardy, and jeopardy as long in the game as possible.
Yeah.
To the 81st minute, you didn't know who was going to win the game, and that's
true.
fantastic.
So true. Actually, it's fair to say that South Africa have played.
8-9.
It's fair to say that South Africa have probably played 3 finals in the last 3 weeks, winning by a point, just by 1 point in the quarters, semis, and final. Hugo asked Sia this question on stage earlier. What was the quote today? I saw New Zealand wanted to win it, South Africa needed to win it.
And I think that's the case so many times with, with the Springboks back home for us. Rugby has played such a big part in what our country is today. And whether that was by luck or whatever, but the country became a democratic country in 1994. 95, we hosted the World Cup. You won it. We won it against, the All Blacks are the great rivalry of those two teams, and that brought the nation together, and suddenly every time the Springboks went onto the field, post that, you had a feeling that that's what you had to do. So even just as a player, you knew that the responsibility is more than just scoring more points than the opposition. It's actually providing hope for a country and providing so much more than just celebrating a win. So Sia explained it beautifully, and I think this team really understands that responsibility. So we could so easily have lost to France, so easily to England, so easily to the All Blacks, but they found a way. And sometimes it's that kind of higher purpose that you're playing for that pulls it through.
It could have gone the other way last night. Conrad, like some massive decisions. Hugo's mentioned this many times on the pod about rugby being a game of small margins. It turns out they're minuscule. with the cards last night. Any complaints with the decisions to start with? And how gutted are you? It could have been New Zealand's final.
Yeah, and part of me, you know, like I'm a little bit gutted that you know, that's what we talk about. Like I think it was a great game. The All Blacks, I know, will look back on the opportunities that they had to win that game, regardless of what happened with the referee decisions. There were chances to win that game. The same way in the semi-final, England had chances to win that game. And you know, like, you talk about small margins. There was Ireland and France who weren't even at that final that finished their pool unbeaten. You know, like France beat New Zealand, Ireland beat South Africa, and they're not even there. Like that's the level of competition at this World Cup, and that's the tiny margins that we're talking about now. So yeah, I'd rather talk about that than referee decisions.
See, the airspace between the top four has never been tighter. If you take it back to the quarterfinals and you look at like moments, Geordie Barrett holding up a driving maul. The last scrum, Vincent Koch holding his bind and not dropping his knee.
Cheslin Colby, two massive tackles.
With a charge down on Thomas. When did you last see that?
Pollard hitting the post. First kick.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, when we talk about this World Cup, and it's only right that we focus on the two finalists, but we are talking a bounce of the ball. It is so tight and so competitive. And that's why this World Cup has been so gripping. I've loved it.
I feel like my questions are based on the mood of the music behind us and what I'm going to ask you next. This was quite somber, so I might ask the Sam Cane question to you, Conrad. That is so tough. There were so many All Black legends in the game of rugby. He's going to have to live with that for a long time. I don't know if you agree, guys, but a red card in final, the way the game's refereed now, that can happen, right? A red card, yellow card. How does Sam Cane deal with that going forward? That's tough.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like we've got a few ex-players here, and that's what we felt immediately after the game, like gutted for the team, but more than anything else, we felt for Sam, because, man, anyone that knows that guy, like he is an absolute gentleman of the game and a servant to the jersey, but also everything he's done for rugby has been brilliant, you know, and he's not a dirty player. He's certainly not a thug. He does everything, you know, with passion. And as a game, we now need to we need to think about how we are punishing, you know, those sort of moments in a game, and whether that's the way we want to carry on. Look, Sam will handle that. He's like I say, he's a great man. He's a great character. He'll deal with that. But it's something that hurts me a little bit, that game is going to probably vilify a man that doesn't deserve that at all, and that's just a little bit unfortunate.
If I could just add to that, because I agree 100%. You know, you said about your former players feeling that way. I felt exactly the same for him. You know, and when I saw him tonight, walked up to him and said exactly that, because it's a pity that a game of this magnitude, that something like that happens, and we know the reasons why they're changing the laws and why why we are seeing more yellow cards and red cards. But I can't agree more in that. I think we need to reassess that a little bit, because we don't want that to happen again. And I'm absolutely gutted for that guy, even though I'm sitting on the other side and really happy that we won. To have something like that hang over, you know, that cloud hanging over you forever, that's harsh.
One change I'd like to make is, I don't know why you have to sit on the side of the pitch when you've been yellow carded, because when Sam Cane saw his face up on the big screen when it got upgraded, I was like, from a mental health perspective, you do not need to be sat by the side of the pitch whilst 80,000 people are watching your face. Give the dude a moment. Like, why does he need to be there to absorb all of that? He went from a place where he put his hands over his face and then saw he was on screen and then had to be okay. He needs to be in his feelings. Going to the change room, take a minute. I was like, I felt so uncomfortable watching that. But what I would say to Sam Cane is, 2011, it happened to a good friend of ours, Sam Warburton, in a World Cup semi-final, who then went on to achieve some incredible things. We're talking about a player who's never going to be defined by a moment. And I hope in the fullness of time, the game's not remembered for a tackle, because we don't often see foul play in our game. We see mistimed tackles and loads of mitigations. We don't see dirty plays in our game. So I hope it's not remembered for that. And honestly, from a guy that doesn't know Sam Cane at all, but felt his pain, if I could feel it in the stands, honestly, it didn't sit well with me. I didn't like it.
No, I tell you what, you've summed it up there, because just tonight, watching both sets of players respect each other at the awards, like the handshakes, there's an amazing rivalry, but an incredible friendship off the pitch as well. Let's talk about Razzie. Let's talk about tactics, because all last week he picks the bench again, and there was doubts amongst many people that it was the right thing to do. Obviously, the gamble has paid off. Was it a gamble? Is this guy lucky? Is he genius? I can't even work him out. What is he?
No, he's a lunatic. How can you go into a World Cup final and not have a scrum half or a fly half reserve on the bench? Go 7-1. I mean, who in this world is ballsy enough to do that? But they did it, and look, the one thing, I've known Rusty for quite a while. He coached us at the Stormers, and Jogni the same thing. And the work that they put in, the decisions that they eventually make, to us it seems ludicrous, but for them it's very calculated. And
but how are you? And then the first couple of minutes you lose your hooker.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Do you know him and you think, okay, this is part of the plan?
Okay, we're gone.
Genuine.
And that's probably the second worst thing that could happen to us, bar Faf de Klerk getting injured early on in the game. Because Dion Fourie, I think the last time he played a full game of 80 minutes at hooker was probably 10 years ago.
At the age of 37.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
37.
But a hell of a player. So we call him Brannas, okay? Brandy, Brandewijn. So it's like a shortened version of that, Brannas. So he was still playing then went and played in France for quite a while, I think for 8 years or whatever, because he just thought he wouldn't get a shot for the box. Played abroad, did really well, came back to the Stormers 2 seasons ago, by luck gets drafted into the squad, finishes the game last night as captain of the Springboks. He was captain by the time the final whistle went last night.
I love it.
I mean, what a story is that?
He was brilliant. I mean, the lineouts were quite something on both sides of the fence, actually. He was brilliant. He was physical. As a fan watching it, South Africa just looked so fired up for it. Was the plan to go out there and try and rough New Zealand up a little bit? I almost feel disrespectful saying that because they've been expecting it. Would that have been the message?
Yeah, well, I think that's always the message. And the one thing they learned is that when they played the All Blacks at Mount Smart earlier this year, we got bullied. Shannon Frizzell had a hell of a game that day, and we got out-muscled in that game. They were able to turn it around at Twickenham, but definitely going into the game yesterday, you could see they were up for it more than usual for this game. And some of those hits were just...
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how Richie Mwanga got up after that one tackle by Eben Etzebeth, but in fairness to them, to the All Blacks, they were able to take that. They were able to rearrange and settle into playing with 14 men. For the majority of that time period, they had the upper hand. That's what makes that, the game so beautiful, and especially the rivalry between those two teams. I mean, I've played against them numerous times, and mostly on the other end, but it's why you want to play, and not just to be able to challenge yourself against the best, but also afterwards to be able to sit like this and have a beer as well.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's the beauty of it.
Could just say, just on the All Blacks, and South Africa, well-deserved champions. But to go down to 14 men, lose by a point, when the game plan is to beat you up physically with a 7-1 bench, when they would look back at that and think, coulda, shoulda, with tries, kicks at goals. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. South Africa didn't score a single point in the second half. So how you nullify them, stop them from scoring, whilst go through the gears, I think we have to give so much credit. A game is only built upon when two teams play so well.
Yeah.
We saw New Zealand against Argentina, and New Zealand great. It wasn't a great game. because Argentina didn't turn up. But the All Blacks deserve so much credit for what they did in adversity yesterday.
Conrad, we were asking Dan Carter last week about what it is. How come these teams are able to win in those close moments? He talked about self-belief, knowing that you'd be able to score when you really needed to. What happened last night? Like, if you're watching that as a fan, like Hugo says, going into the second half, probably playing most of the rugby, is fair to say. Why couldn't they get over that last hurdle, do you think?
Yeah, look, there was a few things that went on, I thought, in that game. Like, I think in the first half, like when they lost Sam, they looked a little bit rattled. Like, I was at halftime, I was pretty disappointed with the way the game had gone. We were making errors that we hadn't made in the previous two games. What I was sort of proud of and appreciated a lot more was the way we came back as a team in that second half. And I think, maybe that break at halftime allowed the guys to appreciate what they were facing, realise what they were doing, and then start again and attack it. They knew they had 14 players. Right, they were going to do it. South Africa, to their credit, and I know what you're saying, Hugo, they were protecting a lead from that stage. Like, you can say, this is what they're great at. This is what they are, an amazing team. They can protect a lead. And even though we were making all the play, South Africa knew that because they were always in front. And I can guarantee if we had kicked a goal, if we had kicked that conversion, the rest of the game wouldn't have gone the way it did. You would have seen a different South Africa because straight away they need points. I love them and I hate them.
That's true.
But I've played them so many times that I just know, like, if they're in front, they play a certain way. If they're behind, they play a certain way. And that's what we saw. I was watching it unfold from the stands, and it was textbook South Africa.
There were two things that stood out for me, and I think you're spot on in that halftime. I also felt, Jeepers, we are actually so dominant physically, and now with 14, it just felt as if the damn wall was going to break. But then two moments, one, and both around Sia. One, just after the restart of the second half, goes down the right-hand side of the field, doesn't make the pass to Creel. You make a tackle there. We score that try, I reckon game over.
I agree.
But that happens. You get a bit of energy from an All Black point of view because you've now stopped a dead certain try. Then Sia gets yellow carded. And to me, that's where the game flipped. That's where the All Blacks really started to believe, and we're very much equaled out. So
that's where Jordie Barrett maybe could have gone for goal, goes into the corner. Is that because they're thinking this is maybe the only time we're going to have the same amount of men on the pitch for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I'm someone as a spectator. I don't like drilling onto those decisions, but I would love to
You
ask
sound like
that.
a terrible fan, by the way, Conrad. You're really struggling with this. You're torn.
I was sitting next to, I had Terry de Soutoir and Matt Giddo next to me, and I was really confused. And part of me thought maybe they knew. The only thing I thought, they knew Sia was only going to get a yellow, and so they had 10 minutes to capitalise on a 14v14. But as far as I could see, maybe Sia was going to get a red. I didn't know, but I just thought, take those three, man. You're in a final.
Do you know something George Ford said to me? He went, coaches in the stands, they see things that we don't see on the pitch as players, but players feel different things that coaches never feel.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that was a field decision rather than
Wow.
And it's mad. And you never want to take the feel away from a player because it could be you two as centres be like, we've got these on toast here. Or someone there'll be the hooker or the second row's like, we've got these boys. And it's so hard when you're trying to calculate the right decision when you're going against vision and feel.
Yeah. Oh, and look, Jean, you're the same. I've been captain, and there's those moments in a game that I love. They're beautiful parts of the game because there is no right decision. You go for the line, they score, and you're like, God, that was it. And then, or you go and you miss the line out as it happened, and you're like, you should have taken the 3 points. So there's never a right decision. Look, they took the punt there. I just questioned it, but Yeah, you can do that with every decision in a game.
I thought it was the right decision. For
There you
us,
go.
for us.
There might be people listening to this pod this week on the way to work, on the way home from work, reminiscing what's been a brilliant World Cup. A little bit of a pub question for you, which would be amazing if you two get involved with this. Starts with you, Hugo. You talk about being a great team. Is this now the greatest team ever? Springbok team 2019,
Yeah.
2023? And I mean that with absolutely no disrespect to our two panelists here, but
I played against the 2009 Springbok team, and even after they won the World Cup in 2019, I'd always consider that 09 team as the greatest South African team of all time. Honestly, when you list the team, it's a joke. You just go on.
Do you want to
and
talk about that tackle? Do you want to?
I don't know, but we are. Tell us the story now. What tackle?
No, please continue. You
We'll
go.
get back to the greatest team ever. What's the tackle, please, Hughes?
So we got a centre field scrum. Brian O'Driscoll looks at me and is like, "Stay on the width. I'm going to skip this pass, hit you flat. You're in the corner." I was like, "Sweet, here we go." He does exactly what he says he's going to do. Skip pass to me in the corner, on the wing. As I'm diving in to score a try in the first test, I get high tackled.
By who? I wonder.
No, I get tackled over the try line and the ball reefed out in the first 5 minutes of the game.
I still don't know how I did that.
I don't know
I
how
was
you
literally
bloody
this
did
far
that.
from the ground, and I just managed to get my hands under it. And
Honestly, it's wild. I mean, it's one of those where you only get like a few of those defensive moments in your career.
luck.
But for Jean, that happened in
You
the
probably
first
have more
test
than
and one
quite
of
a
my-
few, yeah.
Honestly, it's just mental. Like the tackle's crazy.
He's trying to get you to not say that 2019, 2023
Oh,
box size the greatest ever and bringing it back to himself. Have you seen what he's done there?
But in the last 4 years, they've won a World Cup, a Lions series, and then gone back to back. I mean, that's ridiculous. They're on a different level.
Best Springbok team ever, without a doubt. To be able, I mean, this guy's gone back to back to win a World Cup. You know, that in itself, I think, is a massive, massive, massive achievement. But also the route that this team took with the fixtures that they had going into this final, you know, it was an incredible effort. I watched earlier when they selected the World Team of the Year at the awards, and only Eben Esterbet is there from a South African point of view. You know, I think that just shows that South Africa had a collective effort.
Talk
rather than just the individuals. Talking
about
individual
talking about
efforts.
team of the year and also the player of the year has just arrived. Ardie, what an absolute pleasure to
Ardie,
see.
you want to come in the middle?
Ardie Savea has joined us on the pod in the Opera House. Hugo asked you this question on the stage about the last year. Player of the year, congratulations.
Thank you.
It must be an incredibly bittersweet moment for you.
Yeah, it's painful and it hurts not being able to, finish it last night. Still processing it pretty much, and I think it will stay there for a while. But look, very honoured and blessed to receive this tonight, and gonna go back and farewell the lads that played their last game for the All Blacks and some of our management too. So it's going to be good.
Can you explain as a fan listening what is maybe the last 24 hours are like for you? Like you've obviously played the final you've had today. You've come to the dinner this evening. Do you get any time to reflect? What's going on with you right now? What's the feeling?
No time to reflect. I think it will hit once we hop on the plane and things will be much more quiet. So it sucks pretty much, but that's footy.
As you just joined in there, we were talking about South Africa being one of the greatest sides ever. What an epic battle that was last night. It was a hell of a game, and a lot of people saying you play next week could be another result, right? It's that the margins are so small now.
Yeah, it is, and you don't know a big moment until after the game, man.
Yeah,
we had a lot of opportunities to win that and close the game out, but as a testament to South Africa and Sia and his men, they're a great team and they know how to how they want to play and they attack it. So it's a testament to them.
Ardie, can we move away from talking about rugby for a second?
Yo.
And,
What did you think of his performance tonight as a host of the
Very
awards?
good, brother. I was more impressed by your suit and the style.
Oh,
That,
thank you,
mate,
bro.
that has got to be hot. That is, it's a
I
bit of
am
velvet in the
so
opera house.
sweaty.
Sweaty night.
Beyond belief. Bro, I follow you on TikTok. Can you talk us through your dancing? Because you got some crazy moves.
have,
For a
actually.
guy who's so physical, so combative, you can swing your hips pretty well.
I think it goes back to where me and my brother, we used to dance battle each other back in the days. It's just our fun. So yeah, we
Can
carried
you,
it on.
Mate,
It's on
can
the
you
pod.
teach Gethin something?
I think, to be fair, he's had a physical and mental journey last
I'll
25
show him after.
Yeah, that's more like the opera. Yeah. Hey, Conrad Smith do any dancing at the end of?
Sure, hang on, I'm just thinking, surely this relates to the way you can beat tackles. Like, I imagine
Mate.
Mark Talia would be about the same.
Yeah.
God, the two of you, the
Well,
man.
when I first joined the Hurricane, he was my captain. So I'll
Really?
be dancing and Snakey will look at me like, what the hell are he doing?
Yeah, stop it.
But I loved it. I loved it.
That's what I was all about. We'll let you go, but before you go, what the next couple of weeks? What do they look like for you now and the boys?
Yeah, I guess we go home. For me personally, I just want to go home and be a dad and drop the kids off to school and help wifey around the house and just enjoy and get away from rugby.
So you've been away for like 4 or 5 months now. Do you go home? And a lot of the players say this, like you've gone away, you've played rugby in the World Cup, you're heroes. The wife sees you and says, mate, here's the kids, get on with it, get back to duties.
Yeah, pretty much. But I love it. It helps me take my mind away from rugby and just refreshes myself to be with the family and all my friends and mum and dad. So I'm really looking forward to getting back home.
Mate, you've been brilliant to watch. Congratulations on the individual award. I know it's not what you wanted last night. Thank you so much for joining us on the pod.
No worries.
You leave that. We're going to just talk about you now, if that's all right. We'll let you go and we'll
All
just
good.
talk about you behind your
Thank
back.
you.
Is that right?
Thank you.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Well,
Absolute
Ardie.
pleasure.
Cheers,
Thank
Ardie.
you so much. Thanks.
Cheers, Ardie. Well done, man.
Ardie Savea there saying goodbye to the boys.
brother.
Player of the year. It's gone around. White socks as well. It's very
Yeah, beautiful.
white socks, bit Michael Jackson like.
But it is amazing. I mean, his tackle fight, the way he fights in the tackle is better than anyone in the world. And then you mentioned Talia as well. He's like a eel. You can't tackle him. Huh?
I said it earlier to him on stage. He beat 40 defenders at this World Cup, which is the second highest amount of defenders beaten ever at a Rugby World Cup.
Yeah.
And he did it in one less game as well.
Till
The guy's
yeah.
a freak.
Yeah.
Do you know what? How good is it of Ardie to join it? That's the only reason I asked him a dancing question, just because I was like, I can see how fatigued and drained he is. Like,
I was just
and he
saying
sat
that though,
with
but
us.
this is the rugby nature. It's so nice, and the way he says hello and remembers you so fondly. And also, just a quick word on him, Conrad, because what a World Cup he's had after the captain after the French game they lost. Incredibly humble, with loads of pressure from home. He is one that galvanises, I'm sure, in that changing room, is he not?
He's grown a whole lot. Like even to be fair, from a young age, like he talked about when he came into the team. Like I saw him and he was 18, 19, but he was 25 years old in maturity. Like he was someone straight away you knew he was going to be a leader. You knew the way he understood other players. He led other players from right from the start. And so now when he's got that experience behind him, he's a little bit older. Guys follow him. Like he's an amazing influence on obviously the Hurricanes, where I've seen him at the club level, but even with this All Blacks side, and massive influence on the group.
Are we going to see him in another World Cup 32?
He'll keep going.
Yeah.
I just think I know he's going
I
to
hope so.
Japan, and he'll probably look after himself.
Yeah.
That's a league that because he gets through a lot of work. Anyone that can see him play.
He's played every minute of every game he's been selected in this year.
Yeah.
Never once subbed.
So I think if he went to France,
Yeah, Pro 14.
Yeah,
Maybe
he
Japan might be so better.
Well, he probably would because he'd just keep going. But like going to Japan gives them a much higher probability of him being at another World Cup.
Yeah, you do extend the career a little bit by playing
Yeah,
in
by going out
Japan. Season shorter, you have a longer off season. Even from a mind point of view, when you're New Zealand or South Africa, you're constantly consumed by the game because wherever you go, you know, people follow the game, they want to talk about it. Whereas in Japan, you know, you're a little bit, you know, when you go home, you're actually home. When you go to the shop, people don't recognize you, that kind of thing. So I think even from a mental point of view, it helps to extend the career a bit.
Before Ardie come over, actually, we were talking about this South African side. Erasmus has been there at the forefront of it. Where's he going next? Because he says he's not going to coach another international team.
No, he's staying. He's staying at this stage, still staying.
He loves
South
it.
Africa.
He'll never leave.
Yeah.
He's got his traffic lights and he's staying put.
I think he's got his sights set on being the next big dog at World Rugby.
Oh, wow.
Razzie walked past us yesterday when he came from the coaching box. I mean, he was in floods of tears. You imagine, emotional guy. I love him. I know he's some people's villain or whatever. I love his
been
different way of
entertainment.
thinking. He's excellent. The game and entertainment needs to celebrate heroes and villains, if you want to say he's a villain. But I reckon once he's done coaching, I'd love to see him in administration. Because a game like rugby, which is pretty traditional, it could do with shaking up. It could do with someone who's slightly outside the box, holding up a mirror. That's not to say it takes on board everything. However, just someone prodding and poking and asking the questions. But how much would you love that?
Mate, I absolutely agree. Like, I think he'd be a breath of fresh air in World Rugby. I don't know how he'd go. I don't even know if he'd like that. I'd love to have him on and ask him the question.
But for now, he's staying. He's another cycle.
He's still under contract. So Jacques Ninob is leaving.
Yeah.
So he's,
Leinster.
He's going to Leinster.
Yeah.
And,
Is he the first coach to win a World Cup for an international team and then go to club rugby? Because that's an unbelievable coup for
no,
Leinster.
that was like that was standard in South Africa for quite a while. You win a World Cup and then you get fired. Or you coach the Springboks to a World Cup and then you need to move on. So Jake White got fired after winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So Nino, I just wanted to,
Sorry, yeah, no, go on.
add. So you're the host, right, Gethin?
Sorry, I'm going to say no. You crack on. Hey, no one wants to hear my voice. You crack on.
Jacques Ninov is moving on. Felix Jones is as assistant coach. He's joining England. So there's going to be quite a bit of change in that setup. So if Rusty leaves as well, you know, there'll be a massive gap.
It made me think of Ian Foster. And a word on, you know, Ardie tonight, Asahi Super Dry picked him out in their speeches. Obviously very close to him. Scott Robinson announced he was taking over before this World Cup. He said it's a tough old time.
Yes, it has been. Look, Fozzie, anyone that's been coaching, Fozzie coached me. You know, he was a big part of the team that won in 15. He is a great coach. He's a great mind. He'll be missed within New Zealand rugby. And look, Scott Robinson's a great coach. Like he is a record. He is deserving of the role that he is going to take on. And you know, so it's going to be exciting under him. But you know, all the guys that have played under Fozzie, you know, love the work he's done. So it's a difficult, interesting position. I'm not close enough to comment too much more than that. But a great man. You know, it would have been great to see him win, obviously, last night. But I think what the team's done, you know, has showed enough to how good he is to the group and everyone that, you know, speaks so fondly of him. You know, he's pretty good at what he does.
Can we speculate for a moment?
Yeah.
Ian Foster's out of a job. Australian rugby need a coach.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah. Let's speculate.
is that what he meant by I don't know enough? But
I mean, could you see that?
Could I? I mean, I could. I don't know if Eddie's going anywhere. I think Australia have committed. They're too far.
Eddie resigned.
Oh,
He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah,
Whoa.
he's gone.
Okay, I'm out of it.
Eddie resigned this
Okay.
morning.
it's always
Okay.
good to have people on the panel who are up to date with rugby news.
Yeah. All right.
We got news for
There
you,
we go.
Conrad.
There we go.
I wonder where you were
Okay.
going with that then. I was like,
Fozzie's in the building. Let's get him up.
Yeah, just like
get him up and ask him. Can we get him up and
So
ask
Eddie's
him?
gone.
Eddie resigned this
Okay.
morning.
Now I can answer the question.
Australia need a
Sorry,
coach.
Ian,
I don't think-
Fozzie's
I do
gone to
not
Japan. I've
think-
just heard it.
Ian Foster will take that job, but
Why?
he will think about it. I think
Steve Hanson's been into Australian camp as an advisor.
He
broken
has.
the moulds.
Robbie Deans?
I think he'll want time away from the game. I think it'll be a little bit soon.
I'll just add that the Springbok head coach job is also available. Just throwing it out there.
Thought for Dave Rennie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So who knows?
It's good speculation, that. Quick word on England, Hughes, before we wrap up the pod. 6 wins out of 7 at a World Cup. They lose by 1 point to the world champions.
That's a great return. That's a great return. And the way in which you measure it is by where their journey started and where they were. Steve Borthwick, brand new coaching staff, comes in. They finish 4th in the Six Nations. They lose all but one of their games in the summer, and they go away on the podium with the bronze medal. It's been a tremendous tournament for them in terms of the tangible outcome, and I'm just truly hoping that they use this moment, this momentum, as a launch pad for the next 4 years. Because Steve Borthwick, with 4 years succession and planning, and we're going to miss some legends, Ben Youngs, Courtney Laws, there'll be others to follow. In terms of where we can be in 2027 is exciting.
A young squad that's had a lot of experience over the last 6 weeks. We're going to do a World Cup wrap-up. All right, gents? We're going to do 3 things. Best player, best coach, best moment of the World Cup. Conrad's like, who was playing in the World Cup? I'm not quite sure. What happened? Where am I? What are we doing?
World Cup?
Are you ready to go, John? Your best player of the World Cup?
Best player of the World Cup, Bandi Aki.
He was nominated tonight, wasn't he, as best player?
I thought he was phenomenal. And obviously a midfielder, we need to stick to our people.
Yeah, stay with the 12.
Best...
he's going straight in. Go on.
Yeah, sorry.
No, let's go on. Let's go around. We'll see. Yeah, go on. 12 player.
Player?
Yeah.
Well, Bundy's taken. I'll go... I'm going to stick with Ardie. No, I'm going to stick with Ardie. I thought he was...
He's still watching the pod.
massive.
Pod, you have to say, Ardie.
Yeah,
he's still here.
He's still there.
Still
He's watching me, so I have to say that.
Oh,
he was immense. Every game he was amazing.
Okay, you got Bundy, Ardie. I can't double up. I'll go Eben Etzebeth. But it's mad because the premium of these knockout matches, I'd go Peter Steph Toy.
Yeah.
Like, he played his biggest game of his career in the biggest game in South African history. But yeah, I'll go with Eben because Eben's been brilliant.
We've done a lot of chat about coaches. I suppose it's that one. Well, Andy Farrell won tonight, didn't he? And he's done an amazing job because they were unbeaten, for 17 matches. Would you go along with that? Would you choose someone different?
No, I won't choose him. I think if you...
So unemotional.
Sorry, Andy, I hope you're watching. No, I'm just... To win a World Cup as a coach is something that takes a lot of effort. To be able to win a World Cup like we did this year against the teams that we played, I think you need something even more special. So, I mean, how can you not then select the guy that coached the team?
Be a different outcome.
Ireland would win it most of the time, so Andy Farrell gets it from me before Sia comes
Conrad just said that you shouldn't have won.
Conrad said that as Sia Kolisi has just joined us here. What a pleasure. Thank you for popping in, sir.
You good?
Don't believe what he said.
Sia, thanks for joining us. I mean, my goodness. Fair, but you've given your time to so many people over the last 24 hours. Thank you for popping up and seeing us. Simple question. How are you doing? How are you doing right now? How are you feeling?
Tired.
Yeah,
Tired.
yeah.
Yeah, we haven't slept, of course, obviously by choice. As you can see, some guys have some interesting haircuts from 4 o'clock in the morning. But honestly, we haven't thought about much. We just want to get home because I think that's when it will really hit what just happened.
Could you just quickly explain what's happened to Eben Etzebeth's hair since we saw him in the final? Maybe describe what kind of...
They all made a bet that if we win the World Cup, everybody's going to cut like Ardie. He's the only one that cut like Ardie. All the other locks said no at the end.
It seemed a bit half-hearted as well. It's not quite finished, is it?
No, it's right.
That's it. Or is
he
it?
wasn't going to go too crazy.
It's the Ardie Snyman.
Yeah.
Ardie Snyman lookalike.
5 a.m.
Yeah,
Lookalike.
5 again.
That
Cut by Damien Willemse.
Imagine RG Snyman, I'd imagine fairly well lubricated with Asahi with a pair of clippers.
Yeah.
And
listen, Brandy and Coke.
Everyone's telling me you got to go to your next interview. Before you go, do you have any idea what it's going to be like for you when you land back home in the next few days?
It's gonna be far more than it was in 2019, by far, because I said earlier, people were hoping we win the last World Cup, and this year they were expecting, even though we lost the first game, the malls, the areas got bigger where people started watching, and John will tell you, there's a lot that doesn't work in our country, but when something works, everybody gets behind it, and we're one of those things in the country, and that's the privilege we have as players, not pressure. We see it as privilege because we do what we love, we get paid to do what we love, and we're able to change people's moods, and we're able to. And a lot of people say they want to inspire. Who do you want to inspire? I want to inspire the guy that grew up in an environment like me, that thinks that he's not going to make it in life because of his current situation, circumstances. But then he looks at me, he looks at Ches and Kobe, he looks at Peter Steph, and he says, you know what, I come from a farm, I come from this area. He made it, so it's possible. It might not look like it now, but it is possible. And that's the kind of, not pressure, privilege we play with as South Africa. And also, John will tell you, a lot of people don't get along in the country because of the past, painful past we have. And we come from different walks of life, different languages, different cultures. Even though I might be black and someone else is black, but we speak different languages and different cultures. Coach Rassie has taught us to mind each other, because I grew up singing and you don't like it. So just find a way to get along, or find a way that it can work with you, so we can work together as long as you don't interrupt others around you. So there's a lot that we've learned that can work, not just in sport, but in life outside rugby as well.
So you've been a driving force for that. You've been absolutely incredible, a face for it, and I think you've already started your legacy. And have a great celebration with your teammates. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All the best when you get home.
Cheers. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
See you, Kolisi there. Top man. Take care. Thank you so much. Go Liverpool. He's been learning a bit of Welsh as well. He's been, he's been doing it all. He's just magnificent, isn't he?
Look, I've been very fortunate to have seen him grow from being a 19, 20-year-old coming into the Stormers team. I was captain when he made his debut for the Springboks, to the human being he is today. If this guy runs for president of South Africa, he becomes president.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt.
He's becoming that big, isn't he?
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
He is an absolute inspiration, and he speaks softly about the issues that we have in the country and his background, but his life story is one that is exceptional. This guy should not be sitting here as a World Cup winning captain. He shouldn't even be playing professional rugby if you take where he comes from.
Yeah.
And the adversity that he faced as a kid. Now, I've got all the admiration in the world for him.
I love the fact as well, as a fan, I've never met him before. It's exciting to have him on the pod, and you guys are just completely taking the piss. You're literally saying to him, Conrad told you we were going to lose last night. I love it. It's the camaraderie. You were sitting on the fence before Sia got here. Best coach quickly, World Cup.
Oh, no, I was going to Andy Farrell, wasn't I?
Okay, Andy Farrell's good.
Yeah.
Hughes, quickly do that for me.
I'll go sign Rawa Louis then. He's only been in the job since February.
Like it.
Final.
I like that. Good
All right.
choice.
We're going to finish with our Kanpai 15. This is where you choose someone that you played against, or maybe didn't play against, that you loved or hated. But whatever happens, you always had a beer to say cheers with them at the end of the game. This is the Kanpai 15. We've been doing it in association with Asahi Super Dry throughout the World Cup. You guys done a few, actually. You had a few choices. So someone you hated playing against, someone you loved playing against, but unexpected.
Yeah, there's someone that I really hated to play against, and now we're even drinking a beer now. we
This is a stitch-up. I normally answer this question, and you've got me sitting next to him.
Are you going to choose each other? This is brilliant.
No, deliberately no.
I mean, I get on with everyone, so there's no one really that I think that I hated. And
Even Jamie Roberts.
Even Jamie Roberts, my fellow Stormers player, Jamie Roberts.
Yes. Yeah.
Jamie. I mean, I love rugby for the fact that we can do this, that you can play against each other, and in the moment you do hate each other, but then you can, after the game, have a beer, you leave it on the field, and It's the beauty of our game.
You know, he's not chosen anyone, but I think that's such a great answer. I'll let you have it. Go on, Conrad. Is there anyone that surprised you?
Surprised me?
You had a beer with Afton and thought, God, you're a really nice guy.
No, I said before, I always answered this. I'd talk about Jean and Jacques Ferry, because that was a midfield partnership when they dominated us in 09, and they were awesome. And myself and Ma'a, that's when we started out, and we'll always talk about how much we learnt as a midfield battling those two. But I mean, as John's played against a whole heap, you talk about Jamie, Jonathan Davies, amazing centre, I thought, completely underrated guy. Wesley Fofana in France.
What a player.
He is the guy that I absolutely respected as much as anyone I ever played. And God, he was a special player. So I could keep going on, but
I love it.
all those, there's
People
some
love to
pretty
hear it.
special midfielders.
Got any Ukes you're going to go with? Have you got anyone left?
Oh, we'll go again.
Yeah, you've done it.
You just keep going, mate.
Oh my
So it's on the
gosh.
spot, quite tricky.
That is quite tricky.
I'll tell you what we can do, because you have chosen a few, actually. We could finish with, is there the best moment? Let's go back to the World Cup, finish it on the World Cup. The best moment of the World Cup for you. I understand lifting...
This World Cup.
Yeah, this World Cup. It could have been the charge down with Thomas Ramos. It could have been Portuguese second row, Lindeker's blind flick to score in the corner.
The Irish fans at the Stade de France, mate, the energy. When they were singing Zombies, like, I'm not associated to Ireland or Irish rugby in any sense, but when you talk about the entertainment and it capturing this wider audience, there's not many times where when the rugby's on, I'm not watching the rugby and just looking around the stadium going, oh my gosh. And their inclusion, involvement lifted the whole World Cup.
I'll go, because I spent 5 years in France, and I'm still a little bit gutted. The competition missed a little bit when France missed out. That opening game, when France beat the All Blacks, like that the stadium, and even that quarter-final when they played South Africa, there was part of me, I was scared of what it would be like if and when at that time France made the final, because the country was absolutely captivated with rugby. And look, it didn't eventuate, but still those moments when France was on fire, it was pretty damn special.
Look, they pretty much hated us as well after the quarterfinals, right?
And everyone else.
Yeah. I must agree. Away from the rugby, the zombie experience was phenomenal. I mean, we lose that game against Ireland. I was pitch side, and you feel like you're at the biggest attended karaoke ever. You know, everyone's singing. So that was incredible. My on-field moment, Monye Libbok's cross kick, while staring into the eyes of Grant Gilchrist. That was just a phenomenal piece of skill. I love that. What? You on your mic back?
We'll take it from here.
Well, shall we go then?
I can't do much without my voice. Jean de Villiers, Conrad Smith, Hugo, thank you so much. What a World Cup it's been. Thank you for watching. All the episodes are available if you just click on a link. Thanks for all your messages over the last few weeks. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast as much as we've enjoyed it too. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.